What's up, mi gente? Are you looking for mentorship and the place to secure the big bag? Have you ever watched me here on the Banking on Cultura podcast and thought to yourself, you know what? I want to work with Victoria Jenn. Or maybe you thought to yourself, I want to be a part of her network of badass women and entrepreneurs. Well, guess what? You absolutely can. Join me this November 15th through the 16th in the heart of New York City for my 7th annual Secure the Big Bag and Wellness Summit. Let's face it, so many of us are tired, burnt out, ready to throw in the towel, honey, and quite frankly, we want to dedicate ourselves to the soft life. But what if there was a way for us to achieve both time and financial freedom and also have a healthy, well-balanced life? What if you could secure the big bag, build a business that fuels you versus drains you, as well as build a solid network of business besties who want to support and motivate you while also centering self? This summit is the premier destination for the latest marketing, sales, and AI tools that can 10x your business while also nurturing your well-being. Learn from top experts from both business and wellness, including executives from the corporate sector, so that you can explore corporate-level opportunities that can elevate your business to new heights. Ensuring you're not just prepared, but fully equipped to dominate in 2025 and beyond. This is your opportunity for your business to thrive while you do too. Head over to securethebigbag.com to check out the agenda and all the heavy hitters that will be in the building. I cannot wait to see you in New York City, mi gente. It's go time.
That is who I am. And that is what I'm hoping people can see. Don't deify me. Identify with me. Don't allow people to look down on you. Don't allow people to really blow out the candles of your dreams, and just engaging in people in a real way and being authentic about who I am. If you are authentic in who you are, you don't have to hide who you are. What am I supposed to learn right now?
Given everything that you just said about trying to understand the roots and the community, what are we doing about this issue? What's up, mi gente? Welcome back to Banking on Cultura. I am your host, Victoria Jenn Rodriguez. And today we have a very special guest. I mean, all of our guests are special here on the show. But this one you might be very familiar with, especially if you're in the New York City area. But what you may not know is that he is one of 6 children. He was raised by a single mother between Brooklyn and Queens. He comes from very humble beginnings, so much so that he used to bring a bag of clothes to school every day in case of eviction. And he used to actually make some runs for some hustlers. He used to steal for some prostitutes. And as a result, he was arrested. And during his time in custody, he experienced some police brutality, some harassment, until a Black officer came into the room and saved him. And under the advice of a mentor, he decided to change the system from within and became a New York City transit officer. Then moved on to the NYPD, joined the police force, retired as a captain, then decided he wanted to play in the political arena, became a state senator, and now he is New York City's current mayor, Mr. Eric Adams. Welcome to Banking on Cultura.
You got some good highlights in the journey.
We like to highlight the human part of our guests, and because you are your story.
One part of the political part that I'm really proud of is becoming the first person of color to be the borough president of Brooklyn. And it was a huge accomplishment for me and just opened the doors. And when we open doors, we should make sure others come in, because after I left office, Antonio Reynoso, the first Spanish-speaking Dominican, became the borough president as well. So that's why it's important that we stand on each other's shoulders, not only for our particular ethnic group, but for all those who are coming after us.
Absolutely. So how should I address you? Do you go by Eric, Mayor Eric Adams? Eric? Okay, good. Yeah, this is a style. We peoples right now. So we like to start this show with some bochinche, which is tea. So tell us something about you that we can't Google.
There's a whole lot. I still cry at the end of 5 Heartbeats,
Okay.
I must have seen that 100 times. But seeing that brother stand up in that pulpit and sing the song after he recovered from drugs, abusive, and all the other things that came with it, it just reminds me that the bend in a road is not the end of the road. You just got to make the turn, and don't count people out. Okay. And, as you went through some of my stories, some of my mistakes, my errors, we're perfectly imperfect. And I think those perfect people that want to look down on us because we're still evolving. I tell people all the time, don't allow people to look down on you. Don't allow people to really blow out the candles of your dreams. Just keep aspiring and hoping and moving forward. And that has been my life. My life has been a life of just, people have, discounted me, counted me out. They, going through school, being a dyslexic, of thinking that I'm dumb. They used to tease me in school and call me the dumb student there right on the back of the chair. I used to get up and say, God, don't make me read, because they'll mimic me throughout the day. Let's act like we're reading. Children are cute, but...
Oh, they're bullies. Oh, yes. They are bullies, and they don't care.
Right. And they look back later and say, wow, that was really cruel. And then, like you said, falling and, making mistakes with law. Everything from selling weed to running numbers to getting arrested, my brother and I. But when you look at it, God is good. When you could be dyslexic, arrested, rejected, as I say, and then be elected to the most important city on the globe, that's only God. That's only God, so, you just continue to evolve. And that is who I am.
That's one of the things that I appreciate about New York City, and actually you being in this role, is that you do own your flaws and you do take accountability for things that don't go as planned, and you represent a normal person in the city.
Right. Well, you know what? Well said. And to me, I think my life, just as I'm a very spiritual person, and one of the spiritual books that I look to a lot is the Bible, and the Bible is an accumulation of stories. And we're supposed to use the stories of people to understand when we're in those dark places. Mommy told me your dark place is not a burial, it's a planting. And if you're honest with yourself, if you look over every dark moment in your life, you came out learning something, so what I've learned is, like, what am I supposed to learn right now? The universe has a way of saying you need to slow down. Like, I got COVID last week. It was like the universe was saying, listen, man, slow your ass down. You need to sit down. And I cannot tell you how much reading I got in, meditating, breathing, relaxing, sleeping, and I just came out of that week like wow, I needed
revived.
That. Right. That's right.
So let's talk about how you're managing it all, because you actually are, I think, one of the most social and on-the-scene mayors that the city has ever seen. How do you manage that? And what keeps you up at night besides the turn up? I know you be outside.
I'm really, number one, concerned about our country, and I'm concerned about the pain that people are experiencing. The old soulful ballad, if you take a close look at my face, you'll see my smile is out of place in the tracks of my tears. People are self-medicating themselves through drugs, through violence, through all sorts of measures, because people are in so much pain. And if you just think about the folks in your circle and some of the things that they're doing, and, I'm really concerned that we have reached a point where we don't enjoy healthy dialogue. Everyone is waiting to, you finish a sentence so I can show how wrong you are. I got to yell at you. I got to
cancel you.
Cancel. I mean, it's just that there's just this madness that, I just quickly want to take the worst day of your life and judge it as your entire life. And I just see that all the time. And so I'm really concerned about the spirit of who we are as a country, this anti-Americanism where everyone hates this country. This is the greatest country on the globe, and this is darn sure the greatest city on the globe. Some of the violence that we're seeing globally was playing out in Sudan, was playing out in the Middle East, was playing out in Haiti, was playing out in Lebanon. I mean, all of this violence. And, if you're connected to the energy of the planet, you feel it. And what helps me get over it is what you just said, being outside, being on the subway station and talking to people, walking the streets, being part of going up to, some of my favorite locations in Washington Heights or in the Bronx, and just engaging in people in a real way and being authentic about who I am.
You and I share that in common. I'm very much a feeder of people's energy, and I need to be outside. Like I need to be where the noise is at, where the action is at, where the energy is at, because it makes me feel alive, which then makes me a better performer. Right. And I show up in spaces much better.
It is crucial that when I became mayor, I don't fit into the definition of a mayor. And because of my life experiences, public school, CUNY, all of those things, people have a tendency to say, well, you don't fit the model. Well, why do you go out? I go out at night to speak to the waiters and these cooks and the bartenders and people to see that, hey, this is a 24-hour city. Historically, mayors may have done the 9 to 5 or some, tuxedo event. No, I want to be among the people. And that is part of what brings this authentic approach to government. And a lot of the solutions I find are coming from those people.
That's really interesting that you say that, because for politicians in particular, I find that there's like this box that we tend to place them in where you have to be like ultra serious and you can't have a life. Like Biden going to the beach was like this big phenomenon. Like he can't get some vitamin D. My goodness. Like let the man go outside.
That is right. And that's why I'm intentional about it.
Right.
That's why I said, young man on the campaign trail said, hey, I want you to get an earring. And I said, if I win, I'm going to get an earring. So I got an earring.
Oh, so that's how this happened.
Exactly.
Okay, because that seems blinding me over here. Okay.
But all of those authentic approach. If I'm out somewhere and I'm smoking a cigar and I'm drinking a glass of Tito, people say, well, you can't take a picture that way. I said, why? I smoke cigars and I drink Tito's. See, if you are authentic in who you are, you don't have to hide who you are. So what you see is what you get. Now, does that make people uncomfortable? Yes, it does. Because we're so used to this elected official must be perfect. And I'm not perfect. I'm perfectly imperfect. I have good days, bad days, days I wish I would have stayed in bed, days I wish I would have gotten out of bed. I have ups and downs. I have my oops moments. But that is all part of life. If we stop these elected officials feeling that perfection is needed after an election, you'll see people more authentic in the decisions that they make.
And I think also would encourage people to run.
Yes. Yes. Think about that.
A lot of folks don't want to run because of that simple fact. Like, God forbid they pick a wedgie in the street. It's like front page news. Like, my goodness. So I love that you're trailblazing in that way. And from what I understand, throughout your career, you've kind of been setting it up. You've been setting it up, opening the doors. So let's talk about one of the largest communities in New York City. So Latinos make up 2.5 million of the population in the city. We have a purchasing power of 3.4 trillion. So we contribute significantly to spending and to taxes. So how is your administration prioritizing our needs, hearing our wants, and really investing in what's significant about our community? What's up, mi gente? Are you looking for mentorship and the place to secure the big bag? Have you ever watched me here on the Banking on Cultura podcast and thought to yourself, you know what? I want to work with Victoria Jenn. Or maybe you thought to yourself, I want to be a part of her network of badass women and entrepreneurs. Well, guess what? You absolutely can. Join me this November 15th through the 16th in the heart of New York City for my 7th annual Secure the Big Bag and Wellness Summit. Let's face it, so many of us are tired, burnt out, ready to throw in the towel, honey, and quite frankly, we want to dedicate ourselves to the soft life. But what if there was a way for us to achieve both time and financial freedom and also have a healthy, well-balanced life? What if you could secure the big bag, build a business that fuels you versus drains you, as well as build a solid network of business besties who want to support and motivate you while also centering self? This summit is the premier destination for the latest marketing, sales, and AI tools that can 10x your business while also nurturing your well-being. Learn from top experts from both business and wellness, including executives from the corporate sector, so that you can explore corporate-level opportunities that can elevate your business to new heights. Ensuring you're not just prepared, but fully equipped to dominate in 2025 and beyond. This is your opportunity for your business to thrive while you do too. Head over to securethebigbags.com to check out the agenda and all the heavy hitters that will be in the building. I cannot wait to see you in New York City, mi gente. It's go time.
You know what's powerful about that is that when you use the term Latino community, it's not a monolithic community.
Correct.
So many different groups with different beliefs and understanding. So although the city on the whole, we must do things on the whole for the city of New York, make sure it's safe, make sure children are educated, make sure that we have a good transportation system and a good housing, which we have been doing good in. We have to be honest about each community. They have their unique wants and desires, and even within those communities. Because what I get from my folks from Peru is different from what I get from my folks from DR. It's different from what I get from my folks from PR, Ecuador, so there's a difference. Mm-hmm. And we must lean into those communities and make sure that we find out what are your needs specifically. And that's what we've been addressing. Everything from bilingual education to changing some of the textbooks in school that you would never see any Latin authors with real stories. Because to encourage people to read, they should see themselves in what they are reading. Mm-hmm. And our goal is to do that, make sure that we open doors for jobs, and have the Latino community know the employment. And doing my role as mayor must be symbolism and substance. Both go together. I must do those safety, housing, and other stuff. But the symbolism, why did we have it took 110 mayors before we had the first deputy mayor to be Dominican? Mm-hmm. First Spanish-speaking police commissioner, first Spanish-speaking Dominican to be in charge of DOT, largest DOT in the country. Mm-hmm. So when you start to see how we elevate the Latino communities, from my commissioner of Department of Aging, Commissioner Cortez Vasquez, to you see the presence of Latinos in my administration, even down to my nightlife, Director Garcia, who was a former nightlife person that knew what the nightlife community was going through. Mm-hmm. So I brought people who went through a lot. Now they're in administration helping people who are going through a lot and understanding real, authentic needs for the communities that we represent.
So do you have a Latino advisory board that's kind of giving you the game of what's happening, has a pulse of what is important to the community?
Yes, and that's a great question. That goes back to, if I attempt to just have just one advisory board, I'm going to miss it. So what we do at Borough Hall, at City Hall, think of my borough president days, at City Hall, is that we do these round tables with the groups within the groups. Mm-hmm. You'll see that the first time, as I talk about symbolism and substantive, the first time you'll see the flag raises of different Latino communities. The first time we'll host their acknowledgement days. We have a Hispanic month, but we didn't go into the different groups that makes up the Hispanic community and Latino community, and we will host them at Gracie Mansion. Mm-hmm. But we also sit down with them and ask them, what are the needs inside the community? One of the big examples, let's think about the Venezuelan community. Mm-hmm. When you look at the migrants and asylum seeker issue, there are Venezuelans who are citizens here, green cards here, holders here, and have been here. No one is asking them, how are you feeling? Seeing everything about your country being plastered on the news, people trying to demonize you. So we brought the Venezuelan leaders in and say, how do we help you as you deal with the new arrivals that are coming here, and as you stabilize those of you who are here? We had a one-on-one conversation with them to talk about that, and we're doing that with all the groups. So we have the overall advisory, mm-hmm. but we also want to make sure that we don't leave anyone there. And then my respect for the cultures, because remember, this country is the only country on the globe that tells you don't leave your culture. Like, I'm not American African. You're not American Latino. A Chinese person is not American Chinese. America says put your country first.
They aspire to do that.
Yes.
Says we aspire
That's
to do
the
that.
spirit.
Right? Yes.
Put your country first because it's important, because it becomes part of the common denominator of the American experience. We are who we are because people are bringing their life experiences into the mix, the food, the culture, the dance, the ingenuity, how they solve a problem in their homeland. And that's important. So what I'd like to do, I like to visit the homelands of people. I want to go to Ecuador and learn what's happening there, to Colombia, learn what's happening there, to Puerto Rico, to DR, to Peru, to go to South and Central America. Because when I get an understanding, when I visited those countries, I say, wait a minute, now I understand some of the cultural norms here in the city.
I appreciate that. I think that's a really good approach to have because it's very difficult from the outside to relate. Right? Unless you've gone through the experience yourself. And if you're just going by what you see in the media, it's very easy for you to be influenced and create a bias. Right. Like with what's going on with immigration in this city. So I would love to take a deep dive into this with you because you have been on camera associating immigration with aliens. And that language can be disheartening, right? Especially to Latinos, because many of us did migrate to this country, as well as the Black community. But right now, what you're seeing in the media is this uprising of Latinos being violent that have immigrated here. They're stealing, right? They're terrorizing our citizens. So what is your approach to this? And given everything that you just said about trying to understand the roots and the community, what are we doing about this issue?
Well, number one, that's why it's good to do these grassroots, authentic conversation. I use that word authentic so much because people interpreted what others said, Eric said, about my migrants and asylum seekers, which is just factually wrong. Never use the term to say that undocumented or documents individuals, number one, are harmful to the city, and that they don't want to pursue the American dream. Just the opposite. National leaders, national well-known immigrant leaders came to this city because, like you said, they said, well, we heard that you're anti-immigration. They came to the city. I said, I want you to come and see what we are doing here. They then met me at Gracie Mansion for dinner and said, we want to apologize. No one is doing what you're doing. You have raised the level of this conversation. The federal government had 216,000 people come to our city. I went down to Ecuador, Colombia, and Mexico to the Darien Gap to get an understanding why people are flowing. I spoke with the people there on the ground as they're walking to come to Mexico and eventually coming to the United States. 216,000 people came to our city. I can't stop the buses from coming in. I can't give them the authorization to work. It's against federal law. We were only able to allow 40,000 to work after we finished forcing. Those who are committing violent crime, like the person who raped that young lady came out and then raped someone else, I can't turn them over to ICE. They are hurting those who are seeking just to pursue the American dream. And so what the national leaders have wrapped themselves around me and saying, we're going to follow your lead, Eric. People should have the right to work. So your parents, my parents, all these parents, can you imagine if they were told you cannot provide for your family? And you know what else? We have a Ukrainian asylum seeker issue as well. We don't even hear about them.
We sure don't.
Know why? They're allowed to work. So if you can work from Ukraine, why can't you work from Ecuador? Why can't you work from West Africa?
Why is that the case?
Thank you.
And that's at the federal level?
Yes, that's at the federal level.
Okay.
That's what I'm up against.
Okay.
I'm up against the lack of consistency. You know, so when I go to my Latino community and say that, listen, we need to raise our voices and say, this is not right. You know, now, when you do that, it's not always pretty to folks. It's not what always folks want to hear. But I got to fight on behalf of New Yorkers. So I am not only pro-immigrant, when you talk to the national leaders and get the local politics out of it and talk to the national leaders, they are wrapping themselves around what I'm doing here in New York City. 40,000 children went through our education system that we are educating right now. And we are, not one child or family sleeps on the street in this city, unlike other cities we're providing that care. 70% moved on to the next step of their journey to be part of American Dream.
So I I love that. And I think that's super important. I wish we would hear you talk about that more, right? Because there is a misconception within the community of what your position is. And what is your response to New Yorkers who are feeling like we don't have space and, you know, you're putting these kids in school or you're providing housing? How's that taking away from New Yorkers to present day? What would be your response?
I love that question. I love both things you said. Number one, Eric, we'd like to hear that more because that's not what's reported. Because people don't want to report the truth. We are in a sensationalism journalism status now. How many clicks can I get? Because we say this all the time. We talk about all the time the overwhelming number of people that come here want to pursue the American dream. They should have the right to work. We're going to provide for them. We say this all the time, but you'll never find it in the stories. You know that? Because showing the compassion, dedication, and commitment that we've done in this administration with the first Dominican borough president, first Filipino deputy mayor, first Trinidadian deputy mayor, first Panamanian to be a chief advisor. I mean, when you go look through the list, my group is diversity, and so you don't hear it. They don't want to report it, but we say it often. But when you go back to the first part of your question, what was the first part? That was very important.
Housing.
The resources, because what people say is, they're getting everything and we get nothing.
Right.
It's just not true. You know, they're not eligible for WIC. They're not eligible for the SNAP benefits, for SCREE to freeze your senior rent, your DRE if you're disabled to get a freezing rent. We put $30 billion back in the pockets of everyday New Yorkers that migrants and asylum seekers can't get. You know, we're putting money into our foster care children, paying their college tuition, giving them a stipend. So when they graduate, allow them to have a life coach to 21 years old, free high-speed broadband.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes. I'm telling you, we're doing some good stuff.
Okay.
Free high-speed broadband for NYC residents. We're going to be moving into other low-income tenants and residents. Reduced fare Metro card. Dropping the cost of childcare from $55 a week to less than $5 a week. If you're a low-income New Yorker, $55,000 a year you're making. So when you do an analysis of what everyday New Yorkers need, and particularly low-income New Yorkers, it is not part of what we're doing to deal with the migrants and asylum seekers. We are not taking anything away from low-income New Yorkers. In fact, we're adding things to low-income New Yorkers and working-class people.
Okay. I do read your newsletter. I do get that. With shout out to the team because it's very informative and personalizes you in a way that I haven't seen mayors being humanized in that way before. And I also get the tea on what's happening across the city and resources and just free events going on. So if you're not on the mayor's email list, make sure you get on the email list.
That's right. And that's important. The importance is, you know, come on, we know folks. Like I said, I have a master's in public administration, but I got a PhD in people.
Okay.
You know, we know people. Sometimes people rather complain and not get themselves out there to find out what's available. We had a young lady at one of our press conferences who she said, I went into one of the job fairs, unemployed. I walked out with a stabilizing job where I can actually provide for my child that has on the spectrum of autism. There's so much out there. My job is I got it for you. Now I got to get it to you. And people tend to sit back sometime and say, oh, they're giving everything away. No, come and find out what's available. So we do the hiring halls to meet people in the community. We send out that newsletter. We're at the train station. People need to see there's help out there if you want that help. Don't sit back and just complain. Get in the game.
Like Michelle Obama said at
yes.
the convention, like, don't talk about it, be about it.
That's right.
Do something about it.
I love that.
I love that as well. So, all right. So let's get into police brutality. So you come from the department.
Yes.
You had a lot of influence in change and strategy there. Now as mayor, how are you addressing this with the tension that exists between, you know, how officers are treating citizens? Now, let's not take away from the officers who are doing incredible work. We thank them for their service. But there are some rotten apples.
Definitely.
And so how are we centering this, especially as it relates to folks of color?
Yes. No, it's so important, and that's why I always reflect on my history. Listen, I was beat by police officers. I know what it is to abuse your authority and power. That is why I joined 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement Who Care. I was one of the co-founders of that, and aligned myself with the Latinos Officers Association, Anthony Miranda, who's now the sheriff that's going after the illegal cannabis, another organization. When you do a Google of Eric Adams and 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement, we were the premier voice fighting against abuse of power in law enforcement communities. I testified in federal court in the Floyd versus New York City Police Department case because of the abuse of stop and frisk. So this is where I cut my teeth. I am who I am because I took that painful moment of being abused and turned it into a purposeful moment of joining the department that abused me. Civil rights leaders told me to go into the police department. I was a computer geek. I didn't want to be a cop, But so what do we do now? The numbers of we were stopping almost 1 million Black and brown people a year in this city because we were just throwing out a wide net. We changed that. We're now doing precision policing with the right leadership at the helm to make sure that we're going after those who are violent. There are too many guns in our streets. There are too many repeated offenders who have a total disregard for public safety. And when I go to my communities and do my town halls, I have yet to go to one town hall where the people are saying, we don't want our police here. Not once. They say we want our police to do the job, be respectful, but we want our law enforcement. When I come out of that subway system late at night and that cop is standing on that top of that stairs, there's a good feeling that I have. Those who are the rotten apples, as you stated, what we have done, we shortened the time to bring them on disciplinary charges so they don't stay around forever being abusive in our department.
Okay. I think that's really important because there is a stigma that exists and there is this fear that lives in the city, unfortunately. So I would love to see that kind of flipped on its head because we should be proud, right?
Without a doubt.
Welcome our service officers into our spaces versus be fearful. Right.
Now think about it for a moment. Now the question becomes is how do we do that?
Right.
We do it by what the Dominicans Police Association is doing, the Hispanic Police Association is doing, Ecuador, and all of these groups came in because of the advocacy and the loud voices of the young lawyers and loud voices of those who led the way. We turned around this attitude, let's police ourselves. And so the numbers of Hispanics have grown in the police department, and they continue to recruit and bring in others from the community. Because if we want the police department to police in the manner in which we believe it should be, then we can't be detached spectators. We got to get in the game. And you're seeing that there's a real recruitment from our Latino officers that are bringing in the diversity we need. Because nothing is more powerful than you walk inside that precinct because there's something that's going on. You hear somebody behind the desk that can speak your language, that can talk to you, and you see the culture. Or if somebody's called to a job, they're there and they can communicate with you and understand what needs to be done. Yeah. That's what we need. So we need all of these, our pastors, our imams, our rabbis, or all of our groups to recruit these fine young men and women to come into the department.
Okay. So let's get into the Talk That Talk segment, which is where we discuss something taboo in the cultura, in the culture. What is something that you see in the culture that you would like to be improved or mitigate controversy around?
No, that's a great question. I think utilize city services. Historically, the community believes, okay, I have a language barrier. I may not have fluent English, so I don't want to go and get those services. That's why I love Adonis Rodriguez and his broken English and his Dominican dialect. You're seeing that, wait a minute, hold on. Just because my dialect may not be perfect, I can still run to these agencies. I can still be a police officer. I can still be a school teacher. So I think the community should expand. Stop getting your financial literacy opinion in the nail salon. We have real agencies that can give you that opinion. Don't get your health opinion, based on someone that's your neighbor. Come get access. Be part of this city. We tend to, as communities, live within these small little pockets. I say expand your reach. Be comfortable in who you are, because we want you who you are, and enjoy all that this city has to offer. There's not a Spanish-speaking part of the city. The whole city belongs to every resident of the city. I'm not a Spanish-speaking, I'm not an English-speaking representative. I'm the representative of this entire city and all the languages and cultures that go with it.
I love that. So let's wrap this up here.
Yes.
What do you want your legacy to be?
Combination of things. I really want people to feel where you are is not who you are. Because, we're going through some hard moments. And I want that young man on Rikers Island to say, listen, my mayor is in jail. This is not who I am. I want that child that's sitting in the school and is suffering from a learning disability, say, my mayor has a learning disability. If you're in a family sitting with domestic violence was rampant in my household. If you made mistakes, that's not who you are. I want people to embrace that where I am. If I'm in a shelter, this is not who I am. No matter what you're going through, if people can just feel inspired again and know that that moment that you're in does not define you. It doesn't. And if I can do that, if I can have people use my life story of this perfectly imperfect person can be the mayor of the most important city on the globe, to me that would mean a lot. And that's why late at night, I would pull up to a hair salon or a beauty salon 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning where folks are inside, just having a few drinks and laughing, joke. I knock on the door and go sit down with them and just say, listen, I am you. That's why I got baptized on Rikers Island with the inmates, because I wanted them to see that, listen, I am you. I am you. I want to sit next to you. I want to recommit my life to God with you. Because if Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John was around right now, they'd be with the inmates. They'd be in the barbershop, the beauty salon. They'll be on the streets. That is who I am. And that is what I'm hoping people can see. Don't deify me. Identify with me.
Okay, mic drop. Okay, well, thank you so much, Eric, for being on Banking on Cultura. Really appreciate you making the time in your crazy schedule. And shout out to the team for helping us coordinate all of this. So thank you so much. We really appreciate having you here, especially during Hispanic Heritage Month.
Yes.
And spending some time with us. And shout out to all of you for joining us. Make sure to leave your comments, your feedback. I can't wait to hear what you thought about today's episode. Any questions you have for the mayor, I got a direct connect. So put it in the comments, and we'll make sure to get it over to him and his team. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll see you on the next episode. What's up, mi gente? Are you looking for mentorship and the place to secure the big bag? Have you ever watched me here on the Banking on Cultura podcast and thought to yourself, you know what? I want to work with Victoria Jenn. Or maybe you thought to yourself, I want to be a part of her network of badass women and entrepreneurs. Well, guess what? You absolutely can. Join me this November 15th through the 16th in the heart of New York City for my 7th annual Secure the Big Bag and Wellness Summit. Let's face it, so many of us are tired, burnt out, ready to throw in the towel, honey, and quite frankly, we want to dedicate ourselves to the soft life. But what if there was a way for us to achieve both time and financial freedom and also have a healthy, well-balanced life? What if you could secure the big bag, build a business that fuels you versus drains you, as well as build a solid network of business besties who want to support and motivate you while also centering self? This summit is the premier destination for the latest marketing, sales, and AI tools that can 10x your business while also nurturing your well-being. Learn from top experts from both business and wellness, including executives from the corporate sector, so that you can explore corporate-level opportunities that can elevate your business to new heights. Ensuring you're not just prepared, but fully equipped to dominate in 2025 and beyond. This is your opportunity for your business to thrive while you do too. Head over to securethebigbag.com to check out the agenda and all the heavy hitters that will be in the building. I cannot wait to see you in New York City, mi gente. It's go time. Mi gente, did you enjoy this episode? Are you loving Banking on Cultura? Make sure to subscribe and follow us. Our goal is to grow this community so that we can all embrace our Latinidad, secure the big bag, and never question our cultura ever again. Please also take a moment to leave us a review. I love reading your reviews. Let me know what you are thinking, what guests we should have on, and if there are any topics you would like me to cover. I appreciate you so much for being here. Te amo mucho, and I'll check you out in the next episode.